100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEuroFix.com. That's myEuroFix.com, and tell them your friend and radio buddy, Brian Wilson, sent you. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. It is our last hour on this President's Day, February 19th. Thank you so much for hanging in there. I think a lot of people are off today, but if you're out there and you're still working, so are we, cranking it out, bringing you news and information so that you can still arrive home and have stuff interesting to talk about. Well, I'm going to start with this. And honestly, I don't really know what to say, except I find it absolutely reprehensible. I mean, that's not even a word that describes the distaste I have for this story. Absolutely vile that we had in Nashville, Tennessee, Nazis over the weekend. I mean, well, apparently Nazis, neo-Nazis. What in the world are we coming to if this is what we have in Nashville, Tennessee, which is, you know, I just have a feeling that these are people from outside the Nashville area. I just don't believe that we have people with that much evil in their hearts here in Nashville. So I think these must be outsiders, and there's some suggestion that might well be the case. From WKRN's version of the story, a group of Nazis seen marching in downtown Nashville over the weekend, came amid a rise in anti-Semitism seen nationwide. Gosh, you think we have evolved and that we've moved forward and we're enlightened? What in the world would possess someone to decide, wake up one day and decided they're gonna dress up in costume and carry Nazi flags and go and say reprehensible things on the street of our fine city. This is really a terrible situation where white supremacist groups, hate groups, neo-Nazis feel in power to spread their message in communities across the United States, said American Jewish Committee Southeast Regional Director Dov Wilker, I believe it is. Sadly, Nashville is no longer immune to these kinds of hateful people marching through their streets in a time when anti-Semitism is at an unprecedented level. The Jewish community is more fearful and anxious than ever before. Yeah, a group of masked. Have you seen the pictures? It's just ugly. It looks like something that taken right out of 1945. A group of masked people marched through downtown with their faces covered, carrying swastika flags. The Anti-Defamation League told News 2 they believed the group was mostly composed of members of the extremist Blood Tribe, but also had members of the Vinland Rebels. The Blood Tribe marches under the swastika and looks to add shock value, yet wants to normalize the symbol. The ADL said they are strong white supremacists and are against any group calling for softer optics. What could you possibly gain out of this? What kind of hate and evil must be in your heart to feel like, you needed to dress up and go out and represent yourself as a neo-Nazi, saying reprehensible things that that no one adheres to anymore. Well, I guess maybe a small group do, and it's incredibly sad. Now, the thing about it is were they from here or were they from somewhere else? Metro Nashville police, according to Fox 17, say some people challenged the group on Broadway before the men loaded into a box truck and left the city. We don't know who exactly the men are or who they were with. But again, there are some. The men chanted Sig Heil as they walked and yelled anti-Semitic and anti-gay slurs. They also said derogatory things about Mexicans. The men wore black masks over their faces, because they don't have the courage to hold those positions and let their faces be seen. Listen, Metro Nashville Police was quick to respond, and apparently we are told that they handled the situation with professionalism and care. Good Governor Lee and others calling out Nazis and anti-Semitism broadly, saying that this is not what we're about. Nashville is not about this. This is not us. and you know, it's so reprehensible. I can't even wrap my mind around why somebody would want to do this. What do they hope to accomplish? And so I leave you with one thought before I move on to other stories. And I want to say this carefully, because I don't want you to think that I don't take this seriously. I do. I take it very seriously. I think it's reprehensible in every way. I don't think I have the vocabulary to express to you the disdain I hold for people who would do such a thing. Complete disdain. But I have seen situations like this where at the end of the day, when all the facts are known, occasionally it's not what we thought it was. And again, I mean, I remember a story in Washington, D.C., where some man claimed that his house had been tagged with the swastika on his front door. And at the end of the day, when they finally got to the very bottom of it, they found out that he had done it himself to draw attention. I don't know what would possess a person to do that. I can't even begin to understand why anybody would want to represent themselves as a neo-Nazi. But if their idea was to inflame people and to stir up and roil the waters, then you have to wonder what their motivation was and who they truly are. For the moment, let's assume that they're neo-Nazis. And that's, in its own right, incredibly troubling. And again, not what we in Nashville are all about. So, wherever you came from, crawl back into your little hole and forget about Nashville. We don't need that here. We don't need that at all. And again, I don't have the words. It's just sad. It really is sad. Such hatred. What could ever possess a person? Some other news that I want to get to that has to do with what's going on here in Tennessee. This story troubles me a great deal as well for a very different reason. Have you heard this? You might have missed it over the weekend. A 19-year-old who was free on bond while awaiting trial on 2 separate murder cases is now back in jail following a Friday evening shooting at Mill Ridge Park that left a man injured. Metro Nashville Police said that Oswaldo Corrado, age 19, was identified as the person who shot a 23-year-old acquaintance in the hand at Old Hickory Boulevard Park and pointed a gun at the man's cousin on Friday, February 16th. That's right. This guy had already been put in jail and released twice for suspected homicide. According to authorities, Corrado was arrested on December 16th, 2020, at the age of 16 and charged with criminal homicide in connection with the deadly shooting of 22-year-old Lee V. Turner earlier that day outside the Tornado bus station on Nolensville Pike. Then in 21, Corrado was charged with yet another criminal homicide in relation to the fatal shooting of a 34-year-old Alexandra Presley, November 16th, 2020. So there were 2, one in 2020, one in 2021. The young man was charged with criminal homicide and was out on bail when he shot another man. Thank goodness this time there were injuries but no deaths. How in the world is somebody who has been charged with 2 criminal homicides out on the streets? How does that happen? And why, if the crimes occurred in December 16th of 2020, and then in later November of 2021, why hasn't this individual been tried for those crimes and put away? I understand he was 16 years old, but, I mean, you can put people away when you kill someone. Just outrageous. What's going on in the city? I mean, what do you have to do to be put in jail? he's charged with killing 2 people, and they haven't even bothered to try him yet. It's 2024. One of these happened in 2020. Officials said these 2 criminal homicide cases were transferred from juvenile court to criminal court, adding that Corrado was on an ankle monitor. So you let somebody out who's been charged twice with murder, and you give him an ankle monitor and think it'll all be okay. Don't worry. Well, as part of his release, he wasn't supposed to be around guns. Oh, well. Somebody needs to explain to me why it is we do not prosecute people who commit heinous crimes in our community. I can think of no reason why a murder takes place in 2020, you have a suspect, and you don't try that individual. It's like within a 4-year time period. I mean, District Attorney Glenn Funk, can you please bring some clarity to this? Why would this ever be allowed? All right. There's going to be a seminar involving police officers from the Metro Nashville Police Department and law enforcement agencies all around. They're all going to have a big seminar. And it's going to be a seminar where they go over the lessons learned in the Covenant School mass shooting, saying that we want to try to prevent future such tragedies, which, of course, I'm for. But they're not allowing anybody other than law enforcement in on the thing. And one wonders, are they going to be sharing details of the manifesto? I mean, in other words, how in the world could you have learned a great deal about what was the motivation of this without reading the manifesto? But the manifesto, as you know, is tied up in court, and we're not supposed to see it. Although a few pages have leaked out, we're not supposed to know what the writings were while it's being adjudicated in a higher court of law. Will these law enforcement officers be given information that the rest of the public is not allowed to have? The ad makes it clear that potentially there's going to be specific information on the Covenant shooting and how it might have been prevented, said News Channel 5's legal analyst Nick Leonardo. Later this month, Metro Police will offer a presentation on the Covenant shooting through the U.S. Department of Justice only for sworn officers of the law. It will provide an overview and review factors that may have contributed to the violence and share lessons on prevention. Well, the factors that may have contributed to the violence is what we all want to know. And so I don't know, will this include the shooter's writings, which are now tied up in court? And why is it that you can do this with other law enforcement officers, but the public, which I think has a need to know as well, is kept not made aware of what it is you have learned? Let's assume that the Metro Nashville Police Department has studied this and has learned something about how this thing went down. They know more than we do, one would hope. But why is it that we can't know this? We share it with other law enforcement organizations. Why can't we know this? And why is it that you are leaving this conference only for law enforcement officials and no members of the public? I'm troubled by that. I truly am. Let's try to leave this segment on a lighter note. There was a bill that was wending its way through the state legislature that would have banned the retail sale of cold beer in Tennessee. But to quote the Tennessee Star, the bill to ban the sale of cold beer has landed flat. That's pretty good. I actually have to give you that one. It's not moving. It doesn't seem to be moving anywhere. Has yet to receive a committee vote or be scheduled on the calendar. The Senate version was referred to the Senate State and Local Government Committee on February 5th. Will it happen? I mean, the idea here is they want to stop drunk driving. But what about a guy just wants to stop and get a cold six-pack on the way home? A few blocks from the house at the local convenience store? You know, down at the Three Rivers grocery store, gas station, and deli. And then, drive a couple of blocks and then pop the top as you get out of the car and head into the house. What's wrong with that? But apparently, some people don't want you to be able to do that anymore. And I'm surprised at the level of outrage about this bill. I have a feeling it may have been one of those bills that somebody thought was a good idea, but the more they thought about it, they thought, no, the gain here is not worth the hassle of what we will cause for people. We'll watch it. We'll see what happens. We'll let you know if you are going to have to drink warm beer. Yeah, I know. That's just the Germans. How in the world did they do it? 21 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk. You're not sure where to start with retirement planning? You're not alone. Start with Beacon Capital Management's free, fast, and easy retirement savings calculator. It will help you visualize your financial future and help you make the next steps to reach your goals. You start by going to their website, askbeaconnow.com. Listen, the folks at Beacon are good people who have a question for you. Wouldn't it be great to have peace of mind that you're on the right path? You might want to give them a call if you're someone who wants to do some more research. 615-488-9303. The experts at Beacon will ask you some questions, and then they'll give you some guidance. You have nothing to lose in this whole process except for the worry. So get started today. Find out where you are on the path to retirement by calling 615-488-9303. Replace the worry with confidence that you're on the right path. Again, I'm going to write it down here. Here's the number, 615-488-9303. The experts at Beacon stand ready to take your stress away. Learn more at askbeaconnow.com.
What keeps you up at night politically?
Well, the thing that keeps me wide awake are the misinformation efforts that are underway throughout this campaign.
Oh, please, misinformation. The only misinformation is coming out of Jim Clyburn's mouth. What are you worried about? Illegal immigration, wide open border, fentanyl coming across that wide open border. We've got inflation rising yet again. We've got crime in the streets. We've got the failed pullout of Afghanistan, to name just a few. So yes, the only misinformation here is what is flying out of Jim Clyburn's mouth. Nice try.
It is 26 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk. We're in the last and final hour of this Monday's show. Mark Levin will be along to take things over at 7 o'clock after the news. We've got all kinds of stuff coming for you until then. And look, it's unbelievable what the Biden administration wants to do. They want to take away things from you that actually work. I mean, there's certain things, in life that, you just work. They've reached a level of development where they are really good implements that help us with our lives. I'll give you a good example. The gas stove. I mean, if you really love to cook, and I didn't used to understand this. I grew up in a house where we never had a gas stove. We always had electric stoves. And my mom cooked, great meals, all those years with electric stoves. And then when I started to learn how to cook, and I'm not a great cook, but, I can cook. I can put a few things on the table. Cabana wife wants me to do it more. I'm trying to convince her that I don't really know how, but I do. I know how to do some of this stuff. And when I first got my first gas stove, I realized, oh my gosh, this is so much better. Why in the world have I been trying to cook on an electric stovetop all these years? Because it's just better. You have more control. You get instant heat. I mean, it's just, if you really love to cook, and within the sound of my voice, I know there are people who will agree with this. If you truly love to cook, most of the great chefs will tell you want gas heat if you can get it. But the Biden administration doesn't want you to use natural gas. They have decided in their own infinite wisdom that you really don't need that thing that you want, whether it's a gas stove or a gas car. They're trying to take these things that have worked, that have been developed over the years that really work, like a dishwasher. It used to be, I remember a time and a place in America, I know, so long ago, we can't recall it. I remember a time and a place where you put a load of dishes in the dishwasher, and when they came out, they were clean. I remember it. It wasn't that long ago. Nowadays, you put the dishes in the dishwasher, and some of them get clean and some of them don't. And about half the time, you got to run them twice. I remember a time when you could flush the toilet just once. And it worked. I remember a time when you could go into your shower and take a hot steaming shower in the pressure. Oh, it was just great. You would just be invigorated by this hot shower with all this water pressure. And now you don't have that. Now you don't have it. They make you set the thermostat down on your hot water heater so that you hardly, it's like lukewarm. And then the pressure is like feeble, weak. I remember all of these things. And all of these were taken away by Democrats who in their infinite wisdom, they don't care what you want. They don't care what the manufacturers want to build for. The manufacturers know what you want as well. And in a perfect world, a manufacturer would build a product that you would want, because what's the goal of being a manufacturer? To sell a product, to make a little money out of the deal. I want you to have what you want, and I'm going to produce it, and you'll be happy, and the world will beat a path to our door, and everybody's going to be great. We're gonna make money. We're going to fund people's college educations. We're going to support families. But no. They want to tell you how to do it. And now they're cracking down again on your gas appliances and your gas cars, trying to take them away from you. Now, coming up in just a moment, we'll go to 2024 and take a look at all of that straight ahead on Super Talk 99.7.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson, seeing firsthand ground-level evidence of the effects of the delay of more U.S. military aid to Ukraine. An American physician who's volunteered in Ukraine at a hospital several times and is back there now, a brain surgeon and Army veteran, saying less ammunition for Ukraine equals more Ukrainians getting killed and wounded.
Russia has no let-up in its support from Iran no let-up in its support from North Korea. They don't have to worry about a Congress that doesn't approve authorization for artillery.
Dr. Rocco Armanda, a man who died after fatally shooting 2 police officers and a paramedic in a Minneapolis area neighborhood yesterday, wasn't legally allowed to have guns and was entangled in a years-long custody fight, say court records. A 25-year-old, Nicholas Jordan, has been formally charged with first-degree murder, police say, in the shooting deaths last week of 2 people in a dorm room at the U of Colorado, Colorado Springs. This is ABC News.
I'm in the middle of my journey to lose some weight with the help from the folks at Restoration Wellness Med Spa in Lebanon. Truth is, I lost a lot of weight last year, had some medical issues, and I lost quite a bit of weight. But as soon as I worked through those issues, my appetite came back, and with it, so did the weight. And I wanted to not get out of control. So I'm turning to these folks and trying to make sure that it get back under control. Now, I've never taken on a weight loss client before, but I really like the way that Carly and Jamie and the folks over at Restoration Wellness Med Spa approach this. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. They take the time to really look at my history and my lifestyle, and then they customize a plan that best fits my need. That's right, it's a customized treatment plan. And I'll be sharing how it's going in the days ahead. So why don't you do what I did? Set up an appointment to develop your customized treatment plan at Restoration Wellness Med Spa. Be a part of the more than 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results. Whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Take advantage of the newest ideas in weight loss management. 615-470-8124. Learn more at restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
And we will make America great again. God bless you and good night. I love you.
37 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair on this President's Day. If you had to work today, a lot of people had the day off. I'm glad that you're listening. We're glad to have you along for the ride, even if it is a banking holiday. And it's not really any president's birthday. Abraham Lincoln the 12th, George Washington, his 282nd birthday will be on the 22nd. And he doesn't look a day over 281.
Nah.
No. So, I mean, no, I don't know. We did this. We set it up. We wanted the Monday is what we wanted. More than to have the actual celebration of the day. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when it's your birthday, don't you like to celebrate on your birthday?
Generally, if I'm going to celebrate, it'd be on the day.
I quit counting some time ago. But, I mean, normally, you want to do it on the day. So we just pick a random day. Every third Monday, I guess every once in a while it falls right, maybe. I don't know. Probably not.
Occasionally, I would think maybe it would, but
maybe it could. I don't know.
They just did it because they wanted to have a 3-day weekend.
That's right. That's what it's all about. And here we are working.
Yeah.
Why didn't we take the 3-day weekend? It's a company holiday, right?
It is, yeah.
Well, I didn't think about it.
We're just here for no reason, I guess.
Where's Mac?
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, okay.
He's got that fiance. He's got to get on to.
I know. It's going to ruin the boy. I know it. I want to talk about 2024. And listen, the folks, the Democrats are really starting to get very worried. It seems about what's going on with Joe Biden. They're very concerned about it, and with good reason. Things are starting to fall apart, and they're really honestly starting to make a lot of noise and eat their own. U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appeared utterly distraught over the prospect of Donald Trump becoming president again. We need to understand what we are staring down in this country, AOC began. If Donald Trump is elected president of the United States, we do not know if there will be any verifiable next election that has integrity. Oh, I have some concerns about integrity. I think we need to be very realistic about the grave, grave impact of a Donald Trump election. It's not a joke. It's not a game. It's not a game. So, okay, then why don't you, if you're really that worried about it, then why in the world are you running Joe Biden as his opponent? AOC was also asked about the mounting concerns about President Biden's age-declining mental fitness. As we reported, Harvard Capps poll that 63% of registered voters say they have doubts about Biden's mental fitness and ability to go forward as president. 69% said he's too old to be president. And here's what AOC had to say about that. I mean, I think right now when it comes to the president's age, folks are talking about how he's 81, but we have to look at first. Donald Trump is about the same age of 77. They could have gone to high school together. And beyond that, Donald Trump has 91 indictments. Yeah, a bunch of them made up by Democrats. Here's what I would say. You can be 81 and you can be president. You can have your mental faculties about you. I don't think it's beyond the pale for some individuals to be president at that age. I mean, I would prefer a younger, more vital individual. Someone who, is at the peak of their game. But, I mean, you can have your faculties about you, and you could do the job at 81. It's just that Joe Biden is not that person. He's got issues. Can we all agree the man has issues? He can't put together a sentence. Michigan progressives are angry over Gaza and are urging voters to ditch Biden in the primary. The primary doesn't really matter. He's gonna get the nomination. I mean, he could get the nomination. If he stays in, he'll get the nomination. The real question is what will happen in the general election in Michigan, because a lot of progressives are very angry about his position regarding Gaza and Israel. And remember, about 2% of the voters in the state of Michigan are Arab American or are Muslim voters, and so they are not at all happy with him. And have said that they are not going to vote for him, and that may be all it takes to tip the state in the favor of Donald Trump. I mean, the last time I saw a battleground poll out of the state of Michigan, Trump was in pretty good shape. I want to say it was 5 or 6 points ahead. And that's shocking because, you know, you think of Michigan as more blue than red. It's purple. It's a battleground state. But, I mean, it's a bluish purple, not a reddish purple. You get my drift. And so, you know, you got Rashida Tlaib telling Michigan Democrats to vote uncommitted during the primary, but the primary doesn't matter. But I mean, if they don't show up, if they sit on their hands or they don't vote or they vote for somebody else, one of the other candidates on actual election day, it's going to be, I don't know how you get your 270 votes in most scenarios without having Michigan in the mix. Michigan's a big state. There you go. But don't worry. Kamala Harris is stepping up. That's the story. Kamala Harris is taking a more active approach to her and President Joe Biden's reelection campaign. She's been taking to having meetings at her house, which is the, they call it the Naval Observatory. She's been having a lot of people come into the Naval Observatory residence over the weekend. People like Gretchen Whitmer, J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, Governor Wes Moore of Maryland. And Harris's active efforts is to coordinate and listen. I'm just listening. I want to hear what's on your mind. Whitmer at a meeting last Saturday blasted Biden and Harris for how they've been talking about abortion rights, according to more than 24 sources who are at the outlet. While Pritzker aired his frustration over the Biden administration not attacking Republicans and Trump enough on working against the Senate bipartisan immigration bill. Some have said that, you know, well, they like what they hear from her. But, I mean, come on, folks. Is it possible for her to rehabilitate her image between now and November? A thing about images, political images are, it's very hard when people make up and have a definitive idea about you. It's almost impossible to change that narrative without something huge happening. And there's nothing she's been doing when we see her on the public stage. Nothing disabuses us of the previous notions we've had about Kamala Harris. But she's trying. She's out there talking to other Democrats and trying to repair the damage. I don't know what these meetings are about at the Naval Observatory, but apparently they're attended by pretty high-level Democrats. Love to be a little fly on the wall listening to those conversations. The president and his team have decided that they need a big turnaround. They need a rebound in a big way. And so they have decided that they're going to do this on the State of the Union address. President Joe Biden's reelection campaign and officials, according to the Daily Caller, are banking on March's State of the Union address to help reset his 2024 bid as he trails former President Donald Trump in the polls. This will be on March 7th. That's right, 7th. Less than a year out from the 2024 election, Biden is trailing former President Donald Trump in hypothetical matchups across several key swing states. As many of Biden's top allies worry about the president's reelection chances, officials see his State of the Union address as turning point that could help stunt the talk about the 81-year-old's fitness for office, according to Axios. Well, look, they have shown in the past that they can jack him up, I don't know, with a good B12 shot, maybe a little Prevagen, 5-hour energy drink, good stout cup of coffee, and run him out there. And he can, if he stays on the prompter, he probably could get through it without too much trouble. But what happens is the guy gets tired after about 20 minutes in most days. You see him in the morning, he's a little sharper than he is in the afternoons. Have you noticed that? That most of the times we get, when we get this kind of stuff where he seems to, not really be able to put his sentences together.
Anyway, And I don't want to, well, maybe choose my words. I was just thinking, anyway. I just, look.
And you know what he did there? He started to thank somebody and could not remember the name. And anytime you hear him say the words anyway, it means he's gotten himself into a corner where his memory has failed him. And he just says, anyway. And he goes back on. See, but that happens when he gets off of the teleprompter. If he just reads the words that are appearing on the teleprompter before him, he might be able to get through it without too many faux pas. But it's a big gamble. I mean, if they're putting all on a big performance at the State of the Union and thinking that's going to change people's minds when they continue to see these kinds of things.
Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. It was in January, after being elected. The late January, early February. He said, it's not, we lead, not just, well, I won't go into it. Here's what drives the driver in the states that are affected. Here's what you can do, the drivers.
Well, I mean, you know, and what's interesting is when you talk to the Democrats, they say, we see him about maybe 1 or 2% of the time in front of the cameras where we can make the judgment, and these kind of things are easy to collect. Easy to collect. And yet all the Democrats are saying things like,
he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
This guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
His mental acuity is great.
This is a very sharp president.
For two reasons. One,
This is a man that's on his game.
President Biden is absolutely fit.
There's not a problem.
He's sharp, he's fit.
It's an impact that decades are making, because inaction was there was inaction with the Department of
He's always answering questions. He is on the ball.
He was sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
From Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa. The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There's no doubt in my mind that the president is mentally fit for office.
Biden has proven himself to have a strong memory.
The idea that...
It's brutal, isn't it? I mean, it just let these two pieces of tape speak for themselves. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Here's a question for you. Why would you shop at DT McCall's? Well, I'm going to tell you why, because number one, they've got what you want for your home. A huge selection of appliances, furniture, mowers, gun safes. I mean, anything you can think of for your home, they're going to have it. And then here's the thing. They're going to give you a fair and honest price. I mean, that's how you get to be a company that's over 100 years old. You do it by treating people honestly, and they do. They're not going to play games with you like the big box stores do. I mean, how many times have you purchased an appliance, then paid extra for the cords and hoses, paid extra for delivery, paid for the haul away? Not such a good deal when that happens. At DT McCall's, you get free delivery, free setup, and free haul away. And whenever possible, DT McCall sells products that are made and manufactured right here in Middle Tennessee. Find out about their store that's nearest you. Their convenient locations are all over the Middle Tennessee area. Just go to their website, dtmccalls.com.